Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back to part 12, chapter 12 of Rudyard Kipling's Kim. In the last chapter, chapter 11, a father came to Kim and the lama with a very poorly child, and Kim was able to heal the child. So now Kim sort of has healing powers that everyone thinks. And there was another character that the lama and Kim were talking about, and it was all very interesting and a rather sort of dialogue heavy chapter. And there's this character E23, which I don't really understand, but there you go. So if you're in the chat or watching, let me know what E23 is. But yeah, for now we've arrived at chapter 12. If you're enjoying this book, Rudyard Kipling's Kim, and you enjoy books in general, we've got some more Gurdjieff stuff coming up very soon. So be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the show if you've got like-minded friends. And I think over on the app, the link is in the description, I will begin uploading Treasure Island and Robinson Crusoe, I think. So if you enjoy a great classic story, head over to the app and enjoy those. But for now, chapter 12, and the chapter heading, or the chapter quote, says, "Who hath desired the sea, the sight of salt water unbounded? The heave and the halt and the hurl and the crash of the comber wind hounded, the sleek barrelled swell before storm, grey, foamless, enormous and growling, stark calm on the lap of the line, or the crazy-eyed hurricane blowing. His sea and no showing the same, his sea and the same neath all showing, his sea that his being fulfills, so and no otherwise, hillmen desire their hills." Again, rather cryptic. Didn't get much out of that, if I'm honest. But let's get into chapter 12. "I have found my heart again," said E23 under cover of the platform's tumult. "Hunger and fear make men dazed, or I might have thought of this escape before. I was right. They come to hunt for me. Thou hast saved my head." A group of yellow-trousered Punjab policemen, headed by a hot and perspiring young Englishman, parted the crowd about the carriages. Behind them, inconspicuous as a cat, ambled a small fat person who looked like a lawyer's tout. "See the young sahib reading from a paper? My description is in his hand," said E23. "They go carriage by carriage, the fisher folk netting a pool." When the procession reached their compartment, E23 was counting his beads with a steady jerk of the wrist, while Kim jeered at him for being so drugged as to have lost the ringed fire tongs which the sadhu's distinguished mark. The lama, deep in meditation, stared straight before him, and the farmer, glancing furtively, gathered up his belongings. "Nothing here but a parcel of holy bodies," said the Englishman aloud, and passed on amid a ripple of uneasiness, for native police mean extortion to the native all over India. "The trouble now," whispered E23, "lies in sending a wire as to the place where I hid that letter I was sent to find. I cannot go to the tar office in this guise. It is not enough I have saved thy neck, or is it not enough that I have saved thy neck? Not if the work be left unfinished. Did never the healer of sick pearls tell thee so? Comes another sahib. Ah!" This was a tallish, sallowish district superintendent of police, belt, helmet, polished spurs and all, strutting and twirling his moustache. "What fools are these police sahibs," said Kim genially. E23 glanced up under his eyelids. "It is well said," he muttered in a changed voice. "I go to drink water. Keep my place." He blundered out almost into the Englishman's arms and was bad-worded in clumsy Urdu. "Tum mutt, you drunk! You must bang about as though Delhi Station belonged to you, my friend." E23, not moving a muscle of his countenance, answered with a stream of the filthiest abuse, at which Kim naturally rejoiced. It reminded him of the drummer boys and the barrack sweepers at Umballa in the terrible time of his first schooling. "My good fool," the Englishman drawled, "nickel yow, go back to your carriage." Step by step, withdrawing deferentially and dropping his voice, the yellow Sadhu clomb back to the carriage, cursing the DSP to remotest posterity by, here Kim almost jumped, by the curse of the Queen's Stone, by the writing under the Queen's Stone, and by an assortment of gods with wholly new names. "I don't know what you're saying," the Englishman flushed angrily, "but it's some piece of blasted impertinence. Come out of that." E23, affecting to misunderstand, gravely produced his ticket, which the Englishman wrenched angrily from his hand. "Oh, Zulum, what oppression," growled the Jat from his corner. "All for the sake of a jest too?" He had been grinning at the freedom of the Sadhu's tongue. "Thy charms do not work well today, Holy One." The Sadhu followed the policeman, fawning and supplicating. The ruck of passengers, busy with their babies and their bundles, had not noticed the affair. Kim slipped out behind him, for it flashed through his head that he had heard this angry, stupid Sahib discoursing loud personalities to an old lady near Umballa 3 years ago. "It is well," the Sadhu whispered, jammed in the calling, shouting, bewildered press. A Persian greyhound between his feet and a cageful of yelling hawks under charge of a Rajput falconer in the small of his back. "He has gone now to send word of the letter which I hid. They told me he was in Peshawar. I might have known that he is like the crocodile, always at the other ford. He has saved me from present calamity, but I owe my life to thee." "Is he also one of us?" Kim ducked under the Melwar camel driver's greasy armpit and cannoned off a covey of gibbering Sikh matrons. "Not less than the greatest. We are both fortunate. I will make report to him of what thou hast done. I am safe under his protection." He bored through the edge of the crowd, besieged the carriages, and squatted by the bench near the telegraph office. "Return, or they take thy place. Have no fear for the work, brother of my life. Thou hast given me breathing space, and Strickland Sahib has pulled me to land. We may work together at the game yet. Farewell." Kim hurried to his carriage, elated, bewildered, but a little nettled in that he had no key to the secrets about him. "I am only a beginner at the game, that is true. I could not have leaped into safety as did the Sadhu. He knew it was darkest under the lamp. I could not have thought to tell news under pretence of cursing. And how clever was the Sahib? No matter, I saved the life of one. Where is the Kambo gone? Holy One," he whispered as he took his seat in the now crowded compartment. A fear gripped him. The Lama replied with a touch of tender malice. "He saw thee change the Mahratta to a Sadhu in the twinkling of an eye as a protection against evil. That shook him. Then he saw the Sadhu fall sheer into the hands of the police, and the effect of thy art. Then he gathered up his son and fled, for he said that thou didst change a quiet trader into an impudent bandier of words with the Sahibs, and he feared a like fate. Where is the Sadhu?" "With the police," said Kim, "yet I have saved the Kambo's child." The Lama snuffed blandly. "Ah, Chela, see how thou art overtaken. Thou didst cure the Kambo's child solely to acquire merit, but thou didst put a spell on the Mahratta with prideful workings. I watched thee, and with sidelong glances to bewilder an old man and a foolish farmer, whence calamity and suspicion." Kim controlled himself with an effort beyond his years. Not more than any other youngster did he like to eat dirt or to be misjudged, but he saw himself in a cleft stick. The train rolled out of Delhi into the night. "It is true," he murmured. where I have offended thee, I have done wrong. It is more, Cella. Thou hast loosed an act upon the world, and as a stone thrown into a pool, so spread the consequences thou canst not tell how far. This ignorance was well both for Kim's vanity and for the lama's peace of mind, when we think that there was then being handed in at Simma a code wire reporting the arrival of E23 at Delhi and, more important, the whereabouts of a letter he had been commissioned to abstract. Incidentally, an overzealous policeman had arrested, on charge of murder done in a far southern state, a horribly indignant Ajmer cotton broker who was explaining himself to a Mr. Strickland on Delhi platform, while E23 was paddling through byways into the locked heart of Delhi city. In 2 hours, several telegrams had reached the angry minister of a southern state, reporting that all trace of a somewhat bruised Maharata had been lost, and by the time the leisurely train halted at Saharanpur, the last ripple of the stone Kim had helped to heave was lapping against the steps of a mosque in faraway Room, there where it was distributed, a pious man at prayers. The lama made his in ample form near the dewy bougainvillea trellis near the platform, cheered by the clear sunshine and the presence of his disciple. "We will put these things behind us," he said, indicating the brazen engine and the gleaming track. "The jolting of the terrain, though a wonderful thing, has turned my bones to water. We will use clean air henceforward." "Let us go to the Kulu woman's house," said Kim, and stepped forth cheerily under the bundles. Early morning Saharanpur way is clean and well scented. He thought of the other mornings at St. Xavier's, and it topped his already thrice-heaped contentment. Where is this new haste born from? Wise men do not run about like chickens in the sun. We have come hundreds upon hundreds of kos already, and, till now, I have scarcely been alone with thee an instant. How canst thou receive instruction all jostled of crowds? How can I, whelmed by a flux of talk, meditate upon the way? Her tongue grows no shorter with the years then, the disciples smiled. Nor her desire for charms. I remember once when I spoke of the wheel of life. The lama fumbled in his bosom for his latest copy. She was only curious about the devils that besiege children. She shall acquire merit by entertaining us in a little while at an after occasion, softly, softly. Now we will wander loose foot, waiting upon the chain of things. The search is sure. So they travelled very easily across and among the broad, bloomful fruit gardens by way of Aminabad, Sahagunj, Akrola of the Ford, and Little Fulesa, the line of the Siwaliks always to the north, and behind them again the snows. After long, sweet sleep under the dry stars came the lordy, leisurely passage through a waking village, begging bowl held forth in silence, but eyes roving in defence of the law from the sky's edge to sky's edge. Then would Kim return, soft-footed through the soft dust, to his master under the shadow of a mango tree or a thinner shade of a white dune cypress, to eat and drink at ease. At midday, after talk and a little wayfaring, they slept, meeting the world refreshed when the air was cooler. Night found then adventuring into new territory. Some chosen village spied 3 hours before across the fat land, and much discussed upon the road. There they told their tale, a new one each evening so far as Kim was concerned, and there were they made welcome. I'll try again. There they told their tale, a new one each evening so far as Kim was concerned, and there were they made welcome. either by priest or headman, after the custom of the kindly East. When the shadow shortened and the lama leaned more heavily upon Kim, there was always the wheel of life to draw forth, to hold flat under wiped stones, and with a long straw to expound cycle by cycle. Here sat the gods on high, and they were the dreams of dreams. Here was our heaven and the world of the demigods, horsemen fighting among the hills. Here were the agonies done upon the beasts, souls ascending and descending the ladder, and therefore not to be interfered with. Here were the hells, hot and cold, and the abodes of tormented ghosts. Let the chela study the troubles that come from overeating, bloated stomach and burning bowels. Obediently then, with bowed head and brown finger, alert to follow the pointer, did the chela study. But when they came to the human world, busy and profitless, that is, just above the hells, his mind was distracted, for by the roadside trundled the very wheel itself, eating, drinking, trading, marrying, and quarrelling, all warmly alive. Often the lama made the living pictures the matter of his text, bidding Kim to ready. Note how the flesh takes 1,000 shapes, desirable or detestable as men reckon, but in truth of no account either way, and how the stupid spirit, bond-slave to the hog, the dove, and the serpent, lusting after betel nut, a new yoke of oxen, women, or the favour of kings, is bound to follow the body through all the heavens and all the hells, and strictly round again. Sometimes a woman or a poor man watching the ritual, it was nothing less when the great yellow chart was unfolded, would throw a few flowers or a handful of cowries upon its edge. It sufficed these humble ones that they had met a holy one who might be moved to remember them in his prayers. Cure them if they are sick, said the lama when Kim's sporting instincts woke. Cure them if they have fever, but by no means work charms. Remember what befell the Mahratta. Then all doing is evil, Kim replied, lying out under a big tree at the fork of the Doom Road, watching the little ants run over his hand. To abstain from action is well, except to acquire merit. At the gates of learning we were taught that to abstain from action was unbefitting a sahib, and I am a sahib. Friend of all the world, the lama looked directly at Kim. I am an old man, pleased with shows as are children. To those who follow the way there is neither black nor white, Hind nor Botiyal. We be all souls seeking escape. No matter what thy wisdom learned among sahibs, when we come to my river, thou wilt be freed from all illusion at my side. Hi, my bones ache for that river as they ached in the terrain, but my spirit sits above my bones waiting. The search is sure. And that's a lovely passage, isn't it? I am answered. Is it permitted to ask a question? The lama inclined his stately head. I ate thy bread for 3 years, as thou knowest, Holy One. Whence came? There is much wealth, as men count it, in Botiyal, the lama returned with composure. In my own place I have the illusion of honour. I ask for that I need. I am not concerned with the account. That is for my monastery. Aye, the black high seats in the monastery, and novices all in order. And he told stories, tracing with a finger in the dust, of the immense and sumptuous ritual of avalanche-guarded cathedrals, of processions and devil dances, of the changing of monks and nuns into swine, of holy cities 15,000 feet in the air, of intrigue between monastery and monastery, of voices among the hills, and of that mysterious mirage that dances on dry snow. He spoke even of Lhasa and of the Dalai Lama, whom he had seen and adored. Each long, perfect day rose behind Kim for a barrier to cut him off from his race and his mother tongue. He slipped back to thinking and dreaming in the vernacular and mechanically followed the lama's ceremonial observances at eating, drinking, and the like. The old man's mind turned more and more to his monastery as his eyes turned to the steadfast snows. His river troubled him nothing. Now and again, indeed, he would gaze long and long at a tuft or a twig, expecting, he said, the earth to cleave and deliver its blessing. But he was content to be with his disciple, at ease in the temperate wind that comes down from the dune. This was not Ceylon, nor Bodh Gaya, nor Bombay, nor some grass-tangled ruins that he seemed to have stumbled upon 2 years ago. He spoke of those places as a scholar removed from vanity, as a seeker walking in humility, as an old man, wise and temperate, illumining knowledge with brilliant insight. Bit by bit, disconnectedly, each tale called up by some wayside thing, he spoke of all his wanderings up and down Hind, till Kim, who had loved him without reason, now loved him for 50 good reasons. So they enjoyed themselves in high felicity, abstaining, as the rule demands, from evil words, covetous desires, not overeating, not lying on high beds, nor wearing rich clothes. Their stomachs told them the time, and the people brought them their food, as the saying is. They were lords of the villages of Aminabad, Sahigunj, Akrola, of the Ford and Little Forlessa, where Kim gave the soulless woman a blessing. But news travels fast in India, and too soon shuffled across the cropland, bearing a basket of fruits with a box of Kabul grapes and gilt oranges, a white-whiskered servitor, a lean, dry Uriya, begging them to bring the honour of their presence to his mistress, distressed in her mind that the lama had neglected her so long. Now do I remember, the lama spoke as though it were a wholly new proposition. She is virtuous, but an inordinate talker. Kim was sitting on the edge of a cow's manger, telling stories to a village smith's children. She will only ask for another son for her daughter. I have not forgotten her, he said. Let her acquire merit. Send word that we will come. They covered 11 miles through the fields in 2 days and were overwhelmed with attentions at the end, for the old lady held a fine tradition of hospitality, to which she forced her son-in-law, who was under the thumb of his womenfolk, and bought peace by borrowing of the money-lender. Age had not weakened her tongue or her memory, and from a discreetly barred upper window in the hearing of not less than a dozen servants, she paid Kim compliments that would have flung European audiences into unclean dismay. "But thou art still the shameless beggar brat of the Parao," she shrilled. "I have not forgotten thee. Wash ye and eat. The father of my daughter's son is gone away a while, so we poor women are dumb and useless." For proof, she harangued the entire household unsparingly till food and drink were brought, and in the evening, the smoke-scented evening, copper dun and turquoise across the fields, it pleased her to order her palanquin to be set down in the untidy forecourt by smoky torchlight, and there, behind not too closely drawn curtains, she gossiped. Had the Holy One come alone, I should have received him otherwise, but with this rogue, who can be too careful? "Maharani," said Kim, choosing as always the amplest title. "Is it my fault that none other than a sahib, a police sahib, called the Maharani, whose face he chat, that was on the pilgrimage when we travel, thou knowest the proverb, called the Maharani a breaker of hearts and a dispenser of delights? To remember that, it was true, so he did. That was in the time of the bloom of my beauty. She chuckled like a contented parrot above the sugar lump. Now tell me of thy goings and comings, as much as may be without shame. How many maids and whose wives hang upon thine eyelashes? Ye hail from Benares. I would have gone there again this year, but my daughter, we have only 2 sons. Fie! Such is the effect of these low plains. Now in Kulu men are elephants. But I would ask thy Holy One, stand aside, rogue, a charm against most lamentable windy colics, that in mango time overtake my daughter's eldest. 2 years back he gave me a powerful spell. "O Holy One," said Kim, bubbling with mirth at the lama's rueful face. "It is true, I gave her one against wind." "Teeth, teeth, teeth," snapped the old woman. "Cure them if they are sick," Kim quoted relishingly, "but by no means work charms. Remember what befell the Mahratta." "That was 2 reigns ago. She wearied me with her continual importunity," the lama groaned, as the unjust judge had groaned before him. "Thus it comes, take note, my chela, that even those who would follow the way are thrust aside by idle women. 3 days through, when the child was sick, she talked to me." "Arre, and to whom else should I talk?" The boy's mother knew nothing, and the father, in the nights of the cold weather it was, "Pray to the gods," said he, forsooth, and turning over, snored. "I gave her the charm. What is an old man to do?" "To abstain from action is well, except to acquire merit." "Ah, chela, if thou dearest me, I am all alone." "He found his milk teeth easily at any rate," said the old lady, "but all priests are alike." Kim coughed severely. Being young, he did not approve of her flippancy. To importune the wise out of season is to invite calamity. "There is a talking Mina." The thrust came back with the well-remembered snap of the jewelled forefinger over the stables, which has picked up the very stone of the family priest. "Maybe I forget honour to my guests, but if ye had seen him double his fists into his belly, which was like a half-grown gourd, and cry, 'Here is the pain,' ye would forgive. I am half-minded to take the Hakim's medicine. He sells it cheap, and certainly it makes him fat as Shiv's own bull. He does not deny remedies, but I doubted for the child because of the inauspicious colour of the bottles." The lama, under cover of the monologue, had faded out into the darkness towards the room prepared. "Thou hast angered him, belike," said Kim. "Not he. He is wearied, and I forgot, being a grandmother. None but a grandmother should ever oversee a child. Mothers are only fit for bearing. Tomorrow, when he sees how my daughter's son is grown, he will write the charm. Then, too, he can judge of the new Hakim's drugs." "Who is the Hakim, Maharani?" "A wanderer, as thou art, but a most sober Bengali from Dhaka, a master of medicine. He relieved me of an oppression after meat by means of a small pill that wrought like a devil unchained. He travels about now, vending preparations of great value. He has even papers printed in Agrezi telling what things he has done for weak-backed men and slack women. He has been here 4 days, but hearing ye were coming, Hakims and priests are snake and tiger the world over, he has, as I take it, gone to cover." While she drew breath after this volley, the ancient servant, sitting unrebuked on the edge of the torchlight, muttered, "This house is a cattle pond, as it were, for all charlatans and priests. Let the boy stop eating mangoes. But who can argue with a grandmother?" He raised his voice respectfully. "Sahiba, the Hakim sleeps after his meat. He is in the quarters behind the dovecote." Kim bristled like an expectant terrier. To outface and down-talk a Calcutta-taught Bengali, a voluble Dhaka drug vendor, would be a good game. It was not seemly that the lama, and incidentally himself, should be thrown aside for such an one. He knew those curious bastard English advertisements at the backs of native newspapers. St. Xavier's boys sometimes brought them in by stealth to snigger over among their mates, for the language of the grateful patient recounting his symptoms is most simple and revealing. The Uriah, not unanxious to play off one parasite against the other, slunk away towards the dovecote. Yes, said Kim with measured scorn, their stock in trade is a little coloured water and a very great shamelessness. Their prey are broken down kings and overfed Bengalis. Their profit is in children who are not born. The old lady chuckled. Do not be envious. Charms are better, eh? I never gainsaid it. See that thy Holy One writes me a good amulet by the morning. None but the ignorant deny. A thick, heavy voice boomed through the darkness as a figure came to rest squatting. None but the ignorant deny the value of charms. None but the ignorant deny the value of medicines. A rat found a piece of turmeric, said he. I will open a grocer's shop, Kim retorted. Battle was fairly joined now, and they heard the old ladies stiffen to attention. The priest's son knows the names of his nurse and 3 gods, says he. Hear me, or I will curse you by the 3,000,000 great ones. Decidedly, this invisible had an arrow or 2 in his quiver. He went on. I am but a teacher of the alphabet. I have learned all the wisdom of the sahibs. The sahibs never grow old. They dance and they play like children when they are grandfathers. A strong-backed breed, piped the voice inside the palanquin. I have too our drugs which loosen humours of the head in hot and angry men. Sinna, well compounded when the moon stands in the proper house. Yellow earths I have, our plan from China that makes a man renew his youth and astonish his household. Saffron from Kashmir and the best salep of Kabul. Many people have died before. That I surely believe, said Kim. They knew the value of my drugs. I do not give my sick the mere ink in which a charm is written, but hot and rending drugs which descend and wrestle with the evil. Very mightily they do so, sighed the old lady. The voice launched into an immense tale of misfortune and bankruptcy, studded with plentiful petitions to the government. But for my fate, which overrules all, I had been now in government employ. I bear a degree from the great school at Calcutta, whither maybe the son of this house shall go. He shall indeed. If our neighbour's brat can in a few years be made an F.A., First Arts, she used the English word of which she had heard so often, how much more shall children clever as some that I now bear away prizes at rich Calcutta? Never, said the voice, have I seen such a child, born in an auspicious hour, and but for that colic which, alas, turning into black collars, may carry him off like a pigeon, destined to many years. He is enviable. Hi, ma, said the old lady. To praise children is inauspicious, or I could listen to this talk. But the back of the house is unguarded, and even in this soft air men think themselves to be men, and women we know. The child's father is away too, and I must be chowkadar, watchman in my old age. Up, up, take up the palanquin. Let the hakim and the young priest settle between them whether charms or medicine most avail. Ho, worthless people, fetch tobacco for the guests, and round the homestead I go. The palanquin reeled off, followed by straggling torches and a horde of dogs. 20 villages knew the sahiba, her failings, her tongue, and her large charity. 20 villages cheated her after immemorial custom, but no man would have stolen or robbed within her jurisdiction for any gift under heaven. Nonetheless, she made great parade of her formal inspections, the riot of which could be heard halfway to Mussoorie. Kim relaxed as one augur must when he meets another. The hakim, still squatting, slid over his hookah with a friendly foot, and Kim pulled at the good weed. The hangers-on expected grave professional debate, and perhaps a little free doctoring. To discuss medicine before the ignorant is of one piece with teaching the peacock to sing, said the hakim. True courtesy, Kim echoed, is very often inattention. These, be it understood, were company manners designed to impress. "Hi, I have an ulcer on my leg," cried a scullion. "Look at it." "Get hence, remove," said the Hakim. "Is it the habit of the place to pester honoured guest? Ye crowd in like buffaloes." "If the Sahiba knew," Kim began. Aye, come away. They are meat for our mistress. When her young shaitan's colics are cured, perhaps we poor people may be suffered too. The mistress fed thy wife when thou wast in jail for breaking the money-lender's head. Who speaks against her? The old servitor curled his white moustaches savagely in the young moonlight. "I am responsible for the honour of this house. Go!" And he drove the underlings before him. Said the Hakim, hardly more than shaping the words with his lips, "How do you do, Mr. O'Hara? I'm jolly glad to see you again." Kim's hand clenched about the pipe stem. Anywhere on the open road, perhaps he would not have been astonished, but here, in this quiet backwater of life, he was not prepared for Hurry Babu. It annoyed him, too, that he had been hoodwinked. "Aha, I told you at Lucknow, Resorgam. I shall rise again, and you shall not know me. How much did you bet, eh?" He chewed leisurely upon a few cardamom seeds, but he breathed uneasily. "But why come here, Babuji?" "Ah, that is the question, as Shakespeare hath it. I come to congratulate you on your extraordinary efficient performance at Delhi. Ah, I tell you we're all proud of you. I tell you we are all proud of you. It was very neat and handy. Our mutual friend, he is old friend of mine. He has been in some damn tight places. Now he will be in some more. He told me I tell Mr. Lurgan, and he is pleased you graduate so nicely. All the department is pleased." For the first time in his life, Kim thrilled to the clean pride, it can be a deadly pitfall nonetheless, of departmental praise, ensnaring praise from an equal of work appreciated by fellow workers. Earth has nothing on the same plane to compare with it. "But," cried the Oriental in him, "Babus do not travel far to retail compliments." "Tell thy tale, Babu," he said authoritatively. "Ah, it is nothing. Only I was at Simla when the wire came in about what our mutual friend said he had hidden, and old Creighton." He looked to see how Kim would take this piece of audacity. "The Colonel Sahib," the boy from St. Xavier's corrected. "Of course. He found me at a loose string, and I had to go down to Chittor to find that beastly letter. I do not like the south, too much railway travel, but I drew good travelling allowance. Ha ha! I meet our mutual at Delhi on the way back. He lies quiet just now and says Sadhu disguise suits him to the ground. Well, there I hear what you have done so well, so quickly upon the instantaneous spur of the moment. I tell our mutual you take the Baliban. By Jove, it was splendid. I come to tell you so." The frogs were busy in the ditches, and the moon slid to her setting. Some happy servant had gone out to commune with the night and to beat upon a drum. Kim's next sentence was in the vernacular. "How didst thou follow us?" "Oh, that was nothing. I know from our mutual friend you go to Saharunpur, so I come on. Red llamas are not inconspicuous persons. I buy myself drug box, and I am very good doctor, really. I go to Akrola of the Ford and hear all about you, and I talk here and talk there. All the common people know what you do. I knew when the hospitable old lady sent the dooli. They have great recollections of the old lama's visits here. I know old ladies cannot keep their hands from medicines, so I am doctor, and you hear my talk. I think it is very good. My word, Mr. O'Hara, they know about you and the Lama for 50 miles, the common people, so I come. Do you mind?" "Babuji," said Kim, looking up at the broad, grinning face, "I am a sahib, my dear Mr. O'Hara. and I hope to play the great game. You are subordinate to me departmentally at present. Then why talk like an ape in a tree? Men do not come after one from Simla and change their dress for the sake of a few sweet words. I am not a child. Talk Hindi and let us get to the yolk of the egg. Thou art here, speaking not one word of truth in 10. Why art thou here? Give a straight answer. That is so very disconcerting of the Europeans, Mr. O'Hara. You should know a heap better at your time of life. But I want to know, said Kim, laughing. If it is the game, I may help. How can I do anything if you buck or babble all round the shop? Hurry Babu reached for the pipe and sucked it till it gurgled again. Now I will speak vernacular. You sit tight, Mr. O'Hara. It concerns the pedigree of a white stallion. Still? That was finished long ago. When everyone is dead, the great game is finished. Not before. Listen to me till the end. There were 5 kings who prepared a sudden war 3 years ago, when thou wast given the stallion's pedigree by Mahbub Ali. Upon them, because of that news, and ere they were ready, fell our army. Aye, 8,000 men with guns. I remember that night. But the war was not pushed. That is the government cushion or custom. The troops were recalled because the government believed the 5 kings were cowed, and it is not cheap to feed men among the high passes. Hillas and Bunar, Rajas with guns, undertook for a price to guard the passes against all coming from the north. They protested both fear and friendship. He broke off with a giggle into English. Of course, I tell you this unofficially to elucidate political situation, Mr. O'Hara. Officially, I am debarred from criticizing any action of superiors. Now I go on. This pleased the government, anxious to avoid expense, and a bond was made for so many rupees a month that Hillas and Bonar should guard the passes as soon as the state's troops were withdrawn. At that time it was after we two met. I, who had been selling tea in Leh, came a clerk of accounts in the army. When the troops were withdrawn, I was left behind to pay the coolies who made new roads in the hills. This road making was part of the bond between Bonar, Hillas and the government. So, and then? I tell you, it was jolly beastly cold up there too after summer, said Hurry Babu confidentially. I was afraid these Bunar men would cut my throat every night for the pay chest. My native sepoy guard, they laughed at me. By Jove, I was such a fearful man. Never mind that. I go on colloquially. I sent word many times that these 2 kings were sold to the north, and Mahbub Ali, who was yet farther north, amply confirmed it. Nothing was done. Only my feet were frozen and a toe dropped off. I sent word that the roads for which I was paying money to the diggers were being made for the feet of strangers and enemies. For the Russians. The thing was an open jest among the coolies. Then I was called down to tell what I knew by speech of tongue. Mahbub came south too. See the end. Over the passes this year after snow melting, he shivered afresh. Come 2 strangers under cover of shooting wild goats. They bear guns, but they bear also chains and levels and compasses. Oh, the thing gets clearer. They are well received by Hillas and Bunar. They make great promises. They speak as the mouthpiece of a Kaiser with gifts. Up the valleys, down the valleys go they, saying, Here is a place to build a breastwork. Here can ye pitch a fort. Here can ye hold the road against an army. The very roads for which I paid out the rupees monthly. The government knows but does nothing. The 3 other kings who are not paid for guarding the passes tell them by runner of the bad faith of Bunar and Hillas. When all the evil is done, look you, when these 2 strangers with the levels and the compasses make the 5 kings to believe that a great army will sweep the passes tomorrow or the next day, hill people are all fools. Come the order to me, Hurry Babu. Go north and see what those strangers do. I say to Creighton Sahib, This is not a lawsuit that we go about to collect evidence. Hurry returned to his English with a jerk. By Jove, I said, why the deuce do you not issue demi-official orders to some brave man to poison them, for an example? It is, if you permit the observation, most reprehensible laxity on your part. And Colonel Creighton, he laughed at me. It is all your beastly English pride. You think no one dare conspire. That is all tommy rot. Kim smoked slowly, revolving the business as far as he understood it in his quick mind. Then thou goest forth to follow the strangers? No, to meet them. They are coming into Simla to send down their horns and heads to be dressed at Calcutta. They are exclusively sporting gentlemen, and they are allowed special facilities by the government. Of course, we always do that. It is our British pride. Then what is to fear from them? By Jove, they are not black people. I can do all sorts of things with black people, of course. They are Russians and highly unscrupulous people. I do not want to consort with them without a witness. Will they kill thee? Oh, that is nothing. I am good enough Herbert Spencerium, I trust, to meet little thing like death, which is all in my fate, you know. But they may beat me. Why? Hurry Babu snapped his fingers with irritation. Of course I shall affiliate myself to their camp in supernumeracy capacity as perhaps interpreter, or person mentally impotent or hungry, or some such thing, and then I must pick up what I can, I suppose. That is as easy for me as playing Mr. Doctor to the old lady, only you see, Mr. O'Hara, I am unfortunately Asiatic, which is serious detriment in some respects, and so I am Bengali, a fearful man. God made the Hurry and the Bengali. What shame, said Kim, quoting the proverb. It was process of evolution, I think, from primal necessity, but the fact remains in all the cui bono. I am, awfully fearful. I remember once they wanted to cut off my head on the road to Lhasa. No, I have never reached Lhasa. I sat down and cried, Mr. O'Hara, anticipating Chinese tortures. I do not suppose these two gentlemen will torture me, but I like to provide for possible contingency with European assistance in emergency. He coughed and spat out the cardamoms. It is purely unofficial intent, to which you can say, no, Babu. If you have no pressing engagement with your old man, perhaps you might divert him. Perhaps I can seduce his fancies. I should like you to keep in departmental touch with me till I find those sporting coves. I have great opinion of you since I met my friend at Delhi, and also I will embody your name in my official report when matter is finally adjudicated. It will be a great feather in your cap. That is why I come, really. Humph. The end of the tale, I think, is true, but what of the forepart? About the 5 kings, there is ever so much truth in it. A lots more than you would suppose, said Hurry earnestly. You come, eh? I go from here straight into the doom. It is very verdant and painted meads. I shall go to Missouri, to good old Missouri Pahar, as the gentlemen and ladies say. Then by Rampur into Chinni. That is the only way they can come. I do not like waiting in the cold, but we must wait for them. I want to walk with them to Simla. You see, one Russian is a Frenchman, and I know my French pretty well. I have friends in Chandanagar. He would certainly rejoice to see the hills again, said Kim meditatively. All his speech these 10 days past, has been of little else, if we go together. Oh, we can be quite strangers on the road, if your lama prefers. I shall just be 4 or 5 miles ahead. There is no hurry for hurry. That is a European pun. Ha ha! And you come after. There is plenty of time. They will plot and survey a map, of course. I shall go tomorrow, and then you the next day, if you choose, You go, think on it till morning. By Jove, it is near morning now. He yawned ponderously and with never a civil word lumbered off to his sleeping place. But Kim slept little, and his thoughts ran in Hindustani. Well, is the game called great? I was 4 days a scullion at Quetta, waiting on the wife of the man whose book I stole, and that was part of the great game. From the south, God knows how far, came up the Mahratta, playing the great game in fear of his life. Now I shall go far and far into the north, playing the great game. Truly it runs like a shuttle throughout all Hind. And my share and my joy, he smiled to the darkness, I owe to the Lama here, also to Mahbub Ali, also to Creighton Sahib, but chiefly to the Holy One. He is right, a great and wonderful world. I am Kim alone, one person, in the middle of it all. But I will see these strangers with their levels and chains. What was the upshot of last night's babble? Said the Lama after his orisons. There came a strolling seller of drugs, a hanger-on of the Sahibas. Him I abolished by arguments and prayers, proving that our charms are worthier than his coloured waters. Alas, my charms, is the virtuous woman still bent upon a new one? Very strictly. Then it must be written, or she will deafen me with her clamour. He fumbled at his pen-case. In the plains, said Kim, are always too many people. In the hills, as I understand, there are fewer. Oh, the hills, and the snows upon the hills. The Lama tore off the tiny square of paper fit to go into an amulet. But what dost thou know of the hills? They are very close. Kim thrust open the door and looked at the long, peaceful line of the Himalayas flushed in morning gold. Except in the dress of a sahib, I have never set foot among them. The Lama snuffed the wind wistfully. If we go north, Kim put the question to the waking sunrise, would not much midday heat be avoided by walking among the lower hills at least? Is the charm made, Holy One? I have written the names of 7 silly devils, not one of whom is worth a grain of dust in the eye. Thus do foolish women drag us from the way. Hurry Babu came out from behind the dovecote, washing his teeth with ostentatious ritual. Full-fleshed, heavy-haunched, bull-necked and deep-voiced, he did not look like a fearful man. Kim signed almost imperceptibly that matters were in good train, and when the morning toilet was over, Hurry Babu in flowery speech came to do honour to the Lama. They ate, of course, apart, and afterwards the old lady, more or less veiled behind a window, returned to the vital business of green mango colics in the young. The Lama's knowledge of medicine was, of course, sympathetic only. He believed that the dung of a black horse mixed with sulphur and carried in a snakeskin was a sound remedy for cholera, but the symbolism interested him far more than the science. Hurry Babu deferred to these views with enchanting politeness, so that the Lama called him a courteous physician. Hurry Babu replied that he was no more than an inexpert dabbler in the mysteries, but at least he thanked the gods therefor. He knew when he sat in the presence of a master. He himself had been taught by the sahibs, who do not consider expense in the lordly halls of Calcutta. But as he was ever first to acknowledge, there lay a wisdom behind earthly wisdom, the high and lonely law of meditation. Kim looked on with envy. The Hurry Babu of his knowledge, oily, effusive and nervous, was gone. Gone too was the brazen drug vendor of overnight. There remained polished, polite, attentive, a sober, learned son of experience and adversity, gathering wisdom from the Lama's lips. The old lady confided to Kim that these rare levels were beyond her. She liked charms with plenty of ink that one could wash off in water, swallow and be done with. Else what was the use of the gods? She liked men and women, and she spoke of them, the kinglets she had known in the past, of her own youth and beauty, of the depredations of leopards and the eccentricities of love Asiatic, of the incidents of taxation, rack-renting, funeral ceremonies, her son-in-law, This by illusion easy to be followed. The care of the young and the aged is lack of decency, and Kim, as interested in the life of this world as she's soon to leave it, squatted with his feet under the hem of his robe, drinking all in, while the lama demolished one after another every theory of body curing put forward by Huri Babu. At noon the Babu strapped up his brass-bound drug-box, took his patent leather shoes of ceremony in one hand, a gay blue and white umbrella in the other, and set off northwards to the dune, where, he said, he was in demand among the lesser kings of those parts. "We will go in the cool of the evening, Chella," said the Lama. "That doctor, learned in physic and courtesy, affirms that the people among these lower hills are devout, generous, and much in need of a teacher. In a very short time, so says the Hakim, we come to cool air and the smell of pines. Ye go to the hills, and by Kulu road, oh, thrice happy," shrilled the old lady. "But that I am a little pressed with the care of the homestead, I would take palanquin. But that would be shameless, and my reputation would be cracked. Ho, I know the road, every march of the road I know. Ye will find charity throughout. It is not denied to the well-looking. I will give orders for provision, a servant to set you forth upon your journey. No, then I will at least cook ye good food." "What a woman is the Sahiba," said the white-bearded Uriah, when a tumult rose by the kitchen quarters. "She has never forgotten a friend. She has never forgotten an enemy in all her years, and her cookery, wah!" He rubbed his slim stomach. There were cakes, there were sweetmeats, there was cold fowl stewed to rags with rice and prunes, enough to burden Kim like a mule. "I am old and useless," she said. "None now love me and none respect, but there are few to compare with me when I call on the gods and squat to my cooking pots. Come again, O people of good will." "Holy One and disciple, come again. The room is always prepared. The welcome is always ready. See the women do not follow thy Chela too openly. I know the women of Kulu. Take heed, Chela, lest he run away, and when he smells his heels again, hi, do not tilt the rice bag upside down. Bless the household, Holy One, and forgive thy servant her stupidities." She wiped her red old eyes on the corner of her veil and clucked throatily. "Women talk," said the Lama at last, "but that is a woman's infirmity. I gave her a charm. She's upon the wheel and wholly given over to the shows of this life. But none the less, Chela, she is virtuous, kindly, hospitable, of a whole and zealous heart. Who says she does not acquire merit?" "Not I, Holy One," said Kim, re-slinging the bountiful provision on his shoulders. "In my mind, behind my eyes, I have tried to picture such an one altogether freed from the wheel, desiring nothing, causing nothing, a nun, as it were. And, oh imp," the Lama almost laughed aloud, "I cannot make the picture. Nor I, but there are many, many millions of lives before her. She will get wisdom a little, it may be, in each one. And will she forget how to make stews with saffron upon that road? Thy mind is set on things unworthy, but she has skill. I am refreshed all over. When we reach the lower hills I shall be yet stronger. The Hakim spoke truly to me this morn when he said, a breath from the snows blows away 20 years from the life of man. We will go up into the hills, the high hills, up to the sound of snow waters and the sound of the trees for a little while. The Hakim said that at any time we may return to the plains, for we do no more than skirt the pleasant places. The Hakim is full of learning, but he is in no way proud. I spoke to him when thou wast talking to the Sahiba of a certain dizziness that lays hold upon the back of my neck in the night, and he said it rose from excessive heat, to be cured by cool air. Upon consideration I marvelled that I had not thought of such a simple remedy. Didst thou tell him of thy search? Said Kim a little jealously. He preferred to sway the Lama by his own speech, not through the wiles of Huri Babu. Assuredly I told him of my dream, and of the manner by which I had acquired merit by causing thee to be taught wisdom. Thou didst not say I was a sahib. What need? I have told thee many times, we be but two souls seeking escape. He said, and he is just herein, that the river of healing will break forth even as I dreamed at my feet, if need be. Having found the way, seest thou that thou shalt free me from the wheel? Need I trouble to find a way about a mere fields on the earth, which are illusion, that were senseless? I have my dreams night upon night repeated. I have Jataka, and I have thee, friend of all the world. It was written in my horoscope that a red bull on a green field, I have not forgotten, should bring thee to honour. Who was I but that prophecy accomplished? Indeed, I was the instrument. Thou shalt find me, my river, being in return the instrument. The search is sure. He set his ivory yellow face, serene and untroubled, towards the beckoning hills, his shadow shouldering far before him in the dust. And that ends, my friends, this evening's reading. And there's just 3 chapters remaining now, so we're coming right to the end. We'll see how Kim ends up, whether he ends up with the sahibs or with his lama or somewhere else perhaps, I don't know. But it's very interesting. And then once we finish, we'll move into the Gurdjieff books. I think the De Hartmans to begin. But lots coming up on the channel. I continue to upload the perennial philosophy and In Search of the Miraculous and some other stuff if you're interested. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the uploads. But for now, I'll say thanks for joining. We'll be back soon. Lots coming up this week. But for now, take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. Bye now.